Hello students, welcome to the strategic level case study analysis for November 2021 and February 2022. So students, before we start the case study, I just want to keep you informed. If you have any questions on the analysis, you can please mention in the comment box, and also I have attached the documents below the description section which you can see. Okay, so students, if you observe this case study, the logo itself clearly shows a lot of games, and you can see this is like a mobile phone. So students, this time, as you are already knowing, this case study is on a gaming industry. This is on a gaming industry. That means everyone needs to understand this is completely a different type of case study they are giving for the first time. Now, before I move on to the case study analysis, I want to guide you on the subject mapping. So students, one of the important thing in the subject mapping is, now if you see E3, P3, F3, the main reason why students find these papers difficult is they worry about the theoretical content. That's true, you need to worry about it, but not too much. Now students, I am just requesting you, cyber risk is a sure topic that always the examiner test. So I am always requesting you students, if you can start with cyber risk, that will be really grateful, even for the pixel risk case study. And the digital strategy and the digital technology is also an area that you need to concentrate on. And the digital strategy, governance, everything you need to concentrate before you do the analysis. And students, change management is also a very important thing, because students, this industry, the gaming industry, is always exposed to changes. And students, the business valuation is a very important area, and then the pricing issues and the transaction issues. So believe me students, you need to start working on this pattern so that it will be very easy. Okay students, coming to the SEMA November 2021 and February 22 case study analysis. As you are knowing students, they always mention this COVID-19 statement because they don't want you to assume it's a COVID-19 situation unless the examiner has mentioned in the examination day. So students, coming into the table of content, now they have given the introduction. Introduction will definitely have, basically I can say, the business issues, everything. So coming down students, this introduction will generally have the business issues, and after the introduction they have given about the video gaming industry, which you need to keep in mind. The video gaming industry, which you need to keep in mind. So when you observe the students, get the understanding of this very clearly, that this segment is completely a new segment for you all to learn. Now students, coming into the understanding perspective, so that if you see introduction, the video game industry, developing video games. Now if you see from page number 2 to page number, I can say 12, it is industry data. So be very careful students, this section is comprising of industry data. Be very careful. The case study looks long, but doesn't mean that it's very long. They have given lot of industry data. And one more thing students, your mind should focus on the industry data given in the case study. So I will write down the first thing, that is industry data given in the case, given in the case pre-seen is more important. In other words, I can say it is the first priority for all the students in order to get the understanding of this properly. Okay, coming to the application now students. Prixilvis is a quoted company, so anyway there won't be a situation of an IPO. You already know it's a quoted company that creates and sells video games. So at the moment they create, they sell, but students, due to digital transformation, there can be open and liquid environment or open and liquid model. That means we can develop a gaming platform like YouTube. Now if you see, YouTube is I can specifically say it's a video platform. It's just a platform where people upload their videos and watch. Likewise, there can be a situation coming in the future where people upload their games and people can play the games and enjoy. So there can be an open and liquid model that can be coming. Just keep that in mind students. And it's a quoted company students, so the share price you need to be very careful students, because this is highly dominated by the intellectual skill business. Because students, you do not have a lot of properties to do gaming business. It's purely intellectual skills. The intellectual skill, I can say, is imagination is one of the intellectual skill in the gaming industry, and the other intellectual skill is innovation. Imagination and the other one is innovation. So just keep that in mind. So Pixelwitz generate revenue streams from its games in several different ways. So let's think about it later. You are the senior manager in Pixelwitz finance function. You report directly to the board and advise on special projects and strategic matters. Pixelwitz is based in Westland. So students, I will take out the name Westland. So your point of view should be always on Westland. Westland is the country, students, where you are based in. So please be very careful when you are thinking, because some students think for the real life. Please don't think for United States of America. Please think for Westland, because Westland is the country you are in for this examination. A developed country, students, so they have mentioned developed country, so I can say standard of living. So the standard of living will be very high, developed country. So what happens, people will be having the gaming functions as they think. And as an active and well regulated stock exchange, so I can say corporate governance. So students, just remember, corporate governance is an area that you need to concentrate. Westland's currency is $. So students, again, you know, hedging is an area that everyone should be aware about, because generally there can be a situation of that as well. Westland requires companies to prepare their financial statements in accordance with IFRS. So students, this is a statement that they always give. So they are developing in accordance with IFRS. Now students, coming down, what we are going to observe is the video gaming industry. So students, one thing before we go in detail, first of all observe the game video revenue. Now if you see, students, the game video revenue, it's on a growth stage. It's growing up. So I can say here smart devices is coming. Example, smartphones, tab, everything is reaching. So what's happening is the gaming is also going up, and social media platform is also going up. So just remember, students, when the social media, smartphones, smart devices are going up, I can specifically say, students, Internet of Things. So remember these areas, very important. Internet of Things, and there is another section called Internet of Me. So please be thorough with this area on the understanding, students, understanding. Because if you see nowadays, everything has become Wi-Fi dominant. If you have a Wi-Fi in your house, you can connect to many devices, including a printer. And also, students, the PlayStation, all these console games are also connected through this. So just remember, students, the gaming industry is really growing faster and faster. So when an industry is growing, there is high changes. So I'll write down here, changes are also high, students. So just remember, students, there will be lot of resistance also in the gaming sector. So before we go into that, students, let's see here. The video games take many different forms. They comprises of interactive software that enables player to view and control graphic images. An example, students, I can say EA Sports. Now if you see EA Sports, you may be aware, right, students, completely graphics, we can control the players, everything. Globally, there are approximately 2,500 companies that is producing games, employing 70,000 people in the development of games. So 2,500 companies means this is not a dominant structure. This is not a Lions Pride. Now if you see Lions Pride, I can generally say, example like Boeing and Airbus. Only 2 players are there. They only supply. Similar like a controlled industry. But here 2,500 companies are already there, means it should be in the Hornet Nest, or it should be in the Wolfgang, or it should be in the Shark Tank. But for sure, I am sure that it will be generally on the Wolfgang, because if you see, the gaming companies are very much connected with each other. These figures do not include many companies that support the creation and sale of video games through manufacture and sale hardware and provision of operating system and software that supports gameplay. So students, just understand, there are supporting businesses as well, but here we are only focusing on the development business. The game developers revenue was 170 billion and it is projected to have 180 billion. So students, in simple language, it's around 5 to 6% industry growth, just for your understanding. So just a rough number I told you, so they are giving the industry growth as well. Now students, it is estimated there are 2.7 billion video game players worldwide. Now 7 billion players are there, but we need to see how much are active. Because students, even if you see, you also may be a player, a video game player, but you would have only played it for 2-3 times. So your list will be there, but the reality here, the KPI, the key performance indicator, is how much people are active, of whom 55% are male. So of course 45% is female, that we obviously need to predict it. The average age of a gamer is 34. The wide dispersion of player ages around their age. Now students, the average age is 34 of a gamer. So if you observe students, there is I can say it's on the middle. If you see empirically, it's on the middle age. So students, coming down now, they are given some dashboards. So as per the dashboards, we see 18 to 35 years old people. We say these are the 90s kids, okay, 1990, 1980 born children, okay. And if you see students, below 18 is the target area of growth, and above 50 and 36 to 49. So this is the target segment they have given at the moment of the gaming industry by age. So if you see, if we can target these two age, we can grow little better. So video game has been existed from one form or another for decades. They are specifically saying it has been existed for decades, 10 years. But the industry has changed constantly in response to the development of hardware used on running game softwares. Now example students, you may be knowing cartridge, right? We generally earlier Super Mario game was on cartridge, and from cartridge what came? PC came. It's a hardware. From PC what happened? It became to PlayStation. Agree, no students? And from PlayStation it ended up to PSP, PlayStation Portable, and there was a Nintendo Wii, okay. And now we have smartphones, okay. And now you would have seen gaming phones are coming, gaming laptops are coming. If you see, there are gaming laptops nowadays, students. I'll tell you a brand of a gaming laptop, which is MSI, we say, Microstar International, and also Lenovo has also produced some gaming laptops for your understanding, students. So gaming is a separate segment that you need to keep in mind. Now global video game revenue by the type of the product. Now if you see, students, smartphone is, I can say, dominating because it's reachable, then the PC and the laptop, then tablet. Smart TV is a very small segment. Console is little good. Handheld console, that is PSP, those things. And Game Boy, you may be aware about Game Boy, Nintendo. So all these are handheld. And VR and AR. So VR and AR is a new technological development, students. VR and AR. So just do an idea about that, students. Our research and development team can generally focus on the VR and AR segment as well. Now coming here, students, let's go through the game console. Game consoles are devices that are designed to play games in the home. They are usually connected to the television screen or the monitor. Games are loaded from physical media such as cartridge, DVD-ROM that can be downloaded from internet via players' home's Wi-Fi. So console manufacturers often design their machine so they connect directly to the manufacturer's own website. So you can directly go, like if you see in mobile phone we have App Store, Play Store. This console also have their own connectivity. That can simplify the process of downloading and installing the software created by the companies such as Pixelwiz, and also I can say Plantrend. Now if you see Plantrend, they have just given Plantrend, that is one of our competitor. No information is given, so I'll just write it down here for the moment. That's our competitor given in the data. Now students, coming to the next one, that is the handheld console, that is portable. Okay, handheld console are self-contained units that have been integrated screen and battery power, which means they can be played without having connected to the screen or the device. Although they are handheld console, they can mirror their displays in monitors and television. Games can be loaded from cartridge or downloaded from internet. Handheld consoles are portable, so can be used while traveling as well. And the next one is the new technology, students, that we are currently also experiencing, that is the virtual reality. It's a major area of growth in the video games. In home settings, virtual reality requires players to wear headsets and contain screens that replicates their eyes' binocular vision to create a sense of depth. Sensors in the handset detect the head movement, and that is fed back through the screen, so the players feel immersed in the virtual world created by the software. Augmented reality takes input from camera incorporated in the headset and combines that virtual images so the player can see both simultaneously. That could example for be impression of exotic bird hovering in the player's living room. So they can connect both together, students. That is the classical idea of that for your understanding. Okay, that is the classical idea of that for your understanding. And then they are saying the VR headsets are generally used in conjunction with other gaming devices such as PC and consoles. So this is the new technology that they have developed. So coming to the next one, students, video games are essentially just softwares, and so many games are written for conventional computers. Those games are generally downloaded from internet, although they may be purchased from DVD-ROM form as well. Video games generally require significant amount of processing power. Serious gamers often invest heavily in powerful graphics card that the components can cope on the demand that created by the games. So I'll just write down here, graphics card is something that you need to keep sure, because it's an important thing that is there. That means you can't get all the features, you need to have something in your computer as well. So tablets and smartphone, students, many consumer devices have sufficient processing power to offer gameplay. Players can download games onto their phones, tablets and smart television. This will not offer the same processing power as consoles or PC, but they are convenient and may avoid the need to buy a separate device to run a gaming software. So basic games like chess can be played in a mobile phone, students. You need not have much thing. And I can just say there was game like PUBG. Okay, now if you see games like PUBG, which had highly graphics, even it was running in most of the mobile phone, and people were satisfied with that as well. Okay, students, coming to the next one. Development in the video game industry has been highly driven largely by the improvements in the hardware devices. That's true. So disruptions take place when there is hardware improvements only. So like PlayStation, okay, Xbox, all these are disruptions. So there can be new things coming in the world in the future that are available for gamers. For example, improvement in the graphics processors used in PCs, consoles has encouraged game developers to create games and make full use of processing power. Now, example I can say is a classic example. What I can generally say is the gaming laptop. Now students, when we were small, we never had something called a laptop that is specifically developed for gaming, but now there is gaming laptop which are definitely made for the players, where color coding is there in the keypad, where they can play very smoothly. Many games offer players the opportunity to engage with virtual world that comes close to being photographic in terms of image quality. So at the end of the day, students, this image quality is a KPI. This image quality, because some games that is successful because of the image quality, how strong. The classic example I can say is Need for Speed. Now I think everyone will be aware about a game called Need for Speed. It's a car game, students. Why it was a very much successful game is the graphics they created. Okay, and then many video games requires player to have access to the website through which the players can access their account, on which they can pay for the play the game. So cyber risk comes into the picture, because you need to have a login details. Now there can be data leak, okay, and if there's a data leak, there will be a huge effect as well. Those websites are generally cloud based, so remember very carefully, students, there can be data loss as well in case of server getting down. The introduction of cloud based gaming is relatively recent development that is expected to huge growth areas in the industry. Websites can be provided by hardware manufacturers, particularly those who makes consoles, by companies who create and sell game softwares, by standalone companies who provide these facilities for commercial service. The providers of this website will collect any payments that are due from the players from their gameplay. So it's very much connected. In other words, the card is important. So just remember one thing, students, it's very important. So you need to preserve their data as well. There are various way revenues can be developed from the games. So here are the revenue generations. Now students, if you see global revenues from console based games, that is like the Xbox and PlayStation, downloads and box game. So generally that is one, and free to play games. Now free to play games, they charge based on advertisement. There may be definitely advertisement promos before the game is loading, 5 minutes promo, 5 seconds promo, 10 seconds promo, 30 seconds promo. I think you would have experienced those things. Now global revenue from the PC based game, cloud gaming is something new, and the other one is free to play games. and social games, that is in the social media, and then download and box sell game, pay to play games. So students, these are the terms that you need to remember in your mind. So the next one is download and the box game require players to pay to download the software or to purchase it an item on physical medium such as console, game cartridge or DVD-ROM. The payment entitles the player to run the game and may also grant access to online forums for play against other human competitors. So just then the understanding there needs to be against another competitor as well. Pay-to-play games require players to pay a relatively small amount each time they wish to log in and play. They must make a monthly subscription payment. So there can be a monthly subscription model as well. So these are something that you need to keep in mind, students, which is very much important. And now the cloud gaming, students. So the cloud gaming is generally, I can give you a basic idea about the cloud gaming. Is example, students, in Facebook you may have games. You can play games in Facebook. So Facebook is generally a cloud gaming. There is no proper need for download. You can just play through the website that is there. It's essentially to form a pay to play that has recently been introduced by some of the game companies. Gamers pay a monthly fee that entitles them to pay any of the selection of games offered by the company. These games are played over the internet and streamed into the gamer's device. So it's generally a streaming type of game. And this one is one of the new segment, that is free to play games. Can be downloaded and run directly from the website. The player must register and given an opportunity to make in-game purchase. For example, some online games require player to create character who must develop skills and gather objects through play and use them for the virtual environment. Many of these games restricts gamers' ability to play effectively unless they purchase tokens. They can exchange online on virtual objects such as maps, magical powers that can enhance their characters. The monetary cost of these purchases is generally a few cents per item, but purchasing opportunities are frequent and continue throughout the game, even in the most advanced level. Now, students, a classic example is Candy Crush. Now if you see in Candy Crush, what happens, the first level 2, 3 will be very easy, and it's a free to download game as well. But when it goes forward and forward, what happens is, students, it will become very tough. Okay. And also, students, the social games. Now if you see social games, again I told you it's like Facebook only you have. Now cloud game, I cannot say Facebook, sorry for that. So cloud game is like Miniclip. There are some website called Miniclip where you can only play games through the website. And if you see social network, you have Facebook games are coming. They often paid for the advertisements who can develop games and promote their products. Most online games, including those that are free to play, require the entity of a valid credit card. Now students, here is the important thing that is coming, a credit card, the cyber risk area. That is partly to ensure that the game account is being created by an adult, even if the intention is to create an account for child use. It may be possible for players to charge the cost of upgrade enhancement to the card. The game companies see out the terms under which the credit card can be charged and license agreement that must be accepted when the player account is created. Game accounts can often take automatic payments from credit card unless the facility is disabled by the credit card holder. So we need to check who is the host actually, because sometimes if the host is a problem, the payments will get stopped. So there is a cyber ecosystem that we need to concentrate here. So these are the gaming ideas that is there. So developing game, students, so these are the types of games that are generally there for your understanding. So there are many different types of game reflecting the interest of different players and the capabilities and limitation of their preferred devices of the gameplay. So the first one is a puzzle. These games involved an intellectual challenge with no need for quick reaction. So I can say this can be about 36 years old people. They can play this, no need quick reaction. They may be computerized version of traditional board and card games. For example, player play chess, draft, the software acting as the opponent, and may play card games such as poker and solitaire. So it's like for the older generation, they can generally get these type of products. Now the next one is the action games, which is a little bit of challenging for us. So these takes many different forms, but they are characterized by the fact they involve physical challenge, usually stressing hand-eye coordination, because it's very difficult, like a car racing game. Action game can be variation on puzzle game in which players must react quickly to the patterns or the object that appear on the screen, and they may lose the life of the game. Example, there is a game called Tetris. Tetris is a fast reaction game of a puzzle where you need to solve it. And platform games involve fantasy character on a journey dealing with hazards along the way. For example, character may have to jump over the tripwire or duck to avoid the lightning bolts. It's the Super Mario game, students, in simple language. Super Mario games is another one. And students, Angry Bird, you may be aware. So Angry Bird also, they made it like a level wise story. So just get the understanding, students. And then students, if you see, simulating a challenge is a realistic virtual world as seen in the character's eyes. For example, the player might see a patch of jungle from the point of view. Soldier must carry the petrol being seen by the enemy troop and the wildfire. Example, I can say Call of Duty. Call of Duty. These games are generally action games. Or I can say Contra. There is a game called Contra, students. Even Contra is an action game that you need to keep in mind. Now simulation games, and example, students, when we were small, there were motorbikes, right? We need to sit in the motorbike and drag the motorbike here and there. Then in the screen, the vision will be moving here and there. So this is only known as the simulation. Gameplays put the players in control of vehicle or other item. For example, a flight simulator would put the players in charge of an aircraft. Okay, simulators can be written to emulate the physical challenge and make the gameplay very realistic. For example, rally driving simulators can be chosen on car circuits. The software would then offer a very similar experience to driving the car. For instance, more powerful car accelerating faster, they may give the vibration. There can be vibration effect, students, so that you will get the real simulation like you are working or a driving experience. Some simulators often almost are cinematic representation of setting. For example, ship simulator might be very detailed of scene in the ship bridge, realistic building, cranes, even dock workers on fire. Hardware manufacturers sell wide range of peripheral that can be plugged into the computer consoles and assist the simulating games. So this is one game, students, and I think when we were small, there was a duck shooting game. So we need to have a gun just to shoot the duck. So that's a simulation, students. Okay, coming to the next one, sports game, and this is one of the thing we have. Cricket 2017 cricket series were there, FIFA series were there. So this is one of the most popular segment in the online. Olympics we can just mention, basketball, all these are online. Okay, basketball, so I'll write down here basketball. And the other thing I can mention is the cricket. Now if you see, students, cricket is an online game, as you are aware, basketball, cricket. And the other one I can specifically say is football. Football is also an online game. And baseball also, if you say, completely a sport, right? Players can take control of their favorite team, and they can control the individual team members in order to put themselves in the right inside action. For example, a soccer game will enable player to act as a team manager, making team selectors and deciding on the tactics. More sophisticated games allow the strength and weaknesses of the team's squad members. The game will then permit the player's team to compete against the computerized opponent, or software will show its predicted outcome of the match against another human player chosen team's tactic. Games between human opponents may involve pre-arranged competition between friends that may assign opponents which have been online and who are interestingly playing. Alternatively, some games permit the player to take control of a particular team member for a duration of the match. Such games allow the real-world attributes such as speed, stamina, and skill. When games are played online, players often receive scores that are ranking based on the number of games played by their success and failure of those games. There are video game versions for most popular sports as well. So students, that is one segment of game that we need to keep in mind. And the other one is the real-time strategy. Now real-time strategy, I will read through this first and I will guide you later. So real-time strategy games dispense the concept of players taking turns against either human or computerized opponents. They enable players to put elements under the control into operation as they wish to make changes they proceed. And they are specifically stating, students, they are specifically stating, for example, RTS game might start with the player being given control of say 20 workers in the edge of the blank screen. The players must make strategic decision on how many workers must be put in such construction, agriculture and exploration. If the player makes sensible choices, the workers will gather resources and create affluent state. RTS games usually involves competition against computerized or human opponents who are competing for the same scarce resources. Now example of this, students, you may be knowing there was a game called Sims. It's still there. In that you need to design a city. So when you're designing a city, you need to be doing the project management virtually. So this is also a good strategy game, and they also have a target audience for that as well. And students, coming to the next one, that is the massive multiplayer online. So students, you should remember the term MMO because even our company has these products within their portfolio. So they are specifically stating these games involve the players taking on the role of a character in a huge and detailed virtual world. For example, players might take the role of an elf in the fantasy world. The players would be in the free roam of the world, used to collect objects and interact with characters, most of whom will be controlled by other players. For example, two players might trade items with another and could decide to fight. And the game progresses, the characters will develop skills with amass good and also risk about the character will die, which will require the player to restart the game from the beginning. So multiplayer online, I think you all know PUBG is a massive multiplayer online that you are aware about these things. And educational games. Now I think you may be aware about websites like Kahoot. Now Kahoot all you can develop educational games. So these games are generally designed to help children develop skills such as shape, pattern recognition. The gameplay is designed to reward players for correctly identifying and classifying an item that combine elements for education and play. Example, I can say educational puzzle, there can be crossword. Now crossword is again a good educational game. Okay, after that we can say quizzes, you can have quiz competition. All these are very much education oriented things. So students, these are the main idea about the games that are there. First of all, we learn the platform and the types of games in the second one. Now students, still going ahead, so they are specifically stating this list is not intended to enhance many game combined or two or more categories. Now game can be written with the view of enabling individual play, cooperative play or competitive play against human components. Individual play must involve solving puzzle or playing against a virtual opponent. Cooperative or competitive play involves playing either with against a human player. Some console permits multiple players to play simultaneously with the screen divided to enable each player to control his or her character. Most cooperative and competitive gameplay requires players to log into the website and play as team members and opponents over the internet. Many people are involved in the creation of a video game. The first one is the game producer. Now students, this is a very important area because I will write down here as the stakeholders. Now students, stakeholder mapping is a very much important thing in the strategic case study. Some students generally write down general terms, customers. Now here we can't say customers. It should be called as gamers. Remember that properly. So one of the important stakeholder that is involved here is the game producer. In an overall change of a commission or the development of a video game companies develop ideas internally through market research. They also draw up ideas suggested by gamers who participate in the social media forum. So the game producer is the person who is very much concerned about the idea. So remember that if there are very poor game producers, at the end of the day what will happen is it will end up in a bigger issue. Then the other one is game designer. create basic brief that drives developments. The designer must take decision concerning the nature of the game, the way players will interact with the game element, and the decision of the both nature and the gameplay, and the aesthetic appeal of the game appearance and the soundtrack. So the designer will only control how they're designing the control. If you look at a car game, you click the front arrow, it will accelerate. If you click the back arrow, it's a brake. Turning is the left and right arrow. So that's the basic idea the designer will create, and the game artist. So it's also a very important element. The game artist use designers brief to create the characters and the background. So the characters and the background are created by the artist, the game artist. Those are most suitable for both programming and the game elements, and also as an art of promotional material such as web pages, box, games, and supply in the digital media. So example students, you may be aware games like Prince of Persia. If you see games like Prince of Persia, what happens is the character is developed by the game artist. He is the guy who designed the character. So that is very much important. Level designers expand upon the designer's brief of creating the story underpinning a game. For example, RTS, that is the real-time strategy game, might progress through several levels, each level changing the nature of gameplay slightly and possibly appearance of the background and controllable elements such as characters. Level designers must also adapt files created by the game artist and ensure that can be programmed, incorporated into the game. They might require compromises such as deciding on the complexity of the game element. Greater complexity enhances realism, so requires processing power and could overtax hardware on which the game is played. So the level designer should be very careful, because when that becoming tough it's good, but when it becomes more tough it can be challenging as well, because people may skip using the product. So coming to the game programmer students, now if you see the game programmers, they create actual software code base for the game itself. This is a complex area and there are many programming specialisms. Programmers often develop softwares that can be used for game development. Elements created by the game development softwares will be combined with the software written for specific part of the game. For example, driving simulator might use a game developed software package to create elements such as building that appears in horizon and the side shape of the control, and encompasses on physical device of brake pedal. Example students, I can say iOS platform will be different from the Android platform. So what happens, the game programmer needs to develop coding whatever that is compatible for that. Video games require significant amount of time and effort in programming, and the creation of new game might require hundreds of programmers working in collaboration for many months. For this is particularly true on MMO such as simulation that requires creation of large virtual location that can be explored during the game. Some games are much smaller comparison but still require programming skill. For example, a puzzle game for smartphone will require many programmers, but an element of a game will still have been designed and programmed. So just remember that students. So it always needs a game programmer. And the next one is the most critical person that is involved, that is the game tester. Now students, if you look at the game tester, ensure the game is working correctly, because it is going to the market and people are rejecting, they are saying the game is slow, then it will be a big problem. Playing levels have been written, the tester is checking for programming errors, that interested in playing experience. It is also just an important feedback that a particular level is not enjoyable to play, or the element of the game serves no useful purpose, or no errors in the program code. Game testers will also consider suitability of the game for target market. It might also be indicate the players could be disturbed by highly realistic depiction of crash in driving simulation game. Successful video games must be playable. Playability implies the game itself enjoyable to play. Players must be interested in achieving the game's goal, whatever they may be. They may be provided with the suitable interface that enable them to interact with the game effectively without undue distraction. So that is the idea about the stakeholders of the gaming industry. Now students, coming to the next one, that is how the industry measures the performance of the game. So the first thing is game design must consider the limitation of hardware device it will be played. For example, smartphone game must be suitable for a player, a relatively small screen and control often by the touch screen. A console game must offer more scope, detailed graphics because the television screen which is more bigger, and the games themselves can be more complex because it will have controllers equipped with joysticks and buttons. Publishers monitors the success and failure of published games using variety of key performance indicators, many which depends on the most games are played online. So students, you must remember these terms. You must remember this term, and it's a compulsion. It's a compulsion. The first thing they are saying is daily active users, because KPI. Because when the daily active users are high for a game, that means that game is performing very very well. Companies also track the number of monthly average users, which less subject to distortion because of alternatives such as major sporting fixtures, weekdays versus weekends. Gaming companies also measure the MAU, that is, I can say monthly active users or monthly average users and the daily average active users. That gives the insight for the frequency play, that is the statistic enjoyable. So I can say data analytics comes here, students. Big data analytics comes here because you can identify the taste and preferences of the people, and you can develop a product similar to that in the future. We also say design thinking is that basic idea there. Design thinking is the basic idea. Companies also track average session per users in order to establish how frequently a user play. Related KPIs, average session length, the time they play. The statistic offer the insight of the game's popularity. And also companies track the retention over the different time frame, measuring the percentages of newly registered players who return within 24 hours, 7 days and 28 days. The above statistics can be linked to players spent, establish average revenue per user, average revenue per daily active user, and the K factor, which is the referral marketing or viral marketing we say, because students, this is one of the way that the gaming industry works out. It's viral marketing. It's not the way that what we think, because games are spread by word of mouth. It's a measure of extent to which existing player attracts new players. It's sometimes thought as a viral coefficient. It can be expressed as an absolute number. For example, if an existing player recommends a game to 1 million friends and 300,000 of the friends register, the K factor is 1:3. 1:3. So it's an industry based, I can say, KPI. So you need to always check the K factor. Most countries, video games require classified to prevent children from being exposed to unsuitable content such as on-screen violence. Each country has its own system of rating the games, perhaps setting minimum age of 18 to 21 for games designed for adult audience and lower minimum children at different age. So students, now if you observe, the time we spend until now is purely on the industry analysis. Now in strategic case study, you are in the strategic level. So when you are referring your answers, you should always focus on what is happening rather than what has happened. Because what has happened is past, what is going to happen is the idea for you. So students, what I will do is I will just mention a small summary of what we studied on the industry analysis. So students, you can generally concentrate properly very well. Now if you see in the industry analysis, what we did, I will just do a small briefing and show it to you. So in the industry analysis, the first thing they just told about the gaming industry size. Gaming industry size. It's $1 billion industry size. After the gaming industry size, they were saying about the gaming playing modes. That is, you can play it in consoles, you can play in VR, AR, and the types of games. They gave about the types of games, the puzzle games, the real-time strategy, the action games, everything. And then after the types of game, they went on to the gaming stakeholders. The gaming stakeholders are individuals in charge for development of game. For development of what, students? For development of game. Just remember that, students. Individual in charge for the development of game, and you need to remember this, very important. And the final one is gaming industry KPIs. That only they were saying the K factor was 1, DAU MAU. So I'll write down here K factor was 1 area, and they were speaking about the DAU and the MAU. So students, remember this is very, very important. So in a summation, I can say, before they talk about Pixelwiz, they were definitely focusing on the business industry, because students, in the strategic level, you should be concerned about the industry, because whenever there are changes taking place in the industry, the top level of the management will make the decision. Now coming back to the next one, students, let's come to the company. So if you see, Pixelwiz was founded in 1986. So students, 1986 to 2020, I can obviously say this organization has been effectively working for a period of 34 years. Now students, if you say 34 years, the average player's age is 34 years only. So what happened was, this company was there when the development itself, that means they are going with the market, that means they have survived. So they have a, I can say, a good positioning in the minds of the people, because they have been for a longer period of time. Because if I ask anyone what is EA Sports, I am 100% sure most of the people can recall easily, because it was a company that went through the transformation. It transformed a lot. Nintendo, the same thing. Ownership of home computers were growing, and founders were keen to establish themselves as game developers to supply to the new market. So they observed that if the gaming sector was moving forward, because earlier people played using toys, but now they wanted the visual games. The company has grown steadily throughout that period, establishing itself as one of the world's largest game developer, like Nintendo. Nintendo is one of the world's largest game developer, and even if you see, EA Sports is the world's largest game developer. Pixelwiz offers a range of games for all major hardware types. So I told you, students, the second one, the gaming playing mode, the hardware types. You can play it in the PC, you can play it in the smartphone, you can play it in the console, AR, VR, everything. And across major games type, it offers the leading games in terms of player numbers, revenue generated in many of those categories. Pixelwiz Catchy Swan. So I will write down here Catchy Swan. So students, remember this term Scratchy Swan, because Scratchy Swan is an important term that you can remember when you are quoting some example of your past. Okay, it's an MMO which has 300 million. I'll write down here 300 million registered players. 300 million registered players worldwide. Over the past years, there has been an average of 800,000 players online playing the games at any given time. So that itself shows that they have a huge market for their products. Pixelwiz has 5,100 employees, so I can say they are a huge company, half of whom are based on the head office in Westlands Media City, and they are also saying the remainders are in the other overseas subsidiaries. So when you see the overseas subsidiary, there's a point of the risk, the exchange rate risk all comes into that element. So coming down here, students, on the head office factor, let's observe this. So head office of Westland, administration base, home to PC games development, base for global marketing strategy in the Westland and surrounding region. Now if you see Eastland, for mobile game development, okay, smart and tablet, based on local marketing around the surrounding region. And this one is console game development, and again local marketing. And the research and development, they do the research and development for this. So I can think, first of all, the idea comes from the PC, because PC is the base for foundation, and they developed it from the PC version to these two versions. That's how it works out at the moment. And there can be a situation, instead of decentralization, there can be a centralized unit as well, because if you generally observe, students, there are areas like blockchain. Now if you see blockchain, all these areas are there in the digital strategy. Now if you see, financial records may be completely decentralized, so you can centralize all these things and you can keep it as a digital ledger where you can't change anything. So that is the idea of blockchain. That means you can have a ledger which is are unmanipulated ledger. So it will be very easy for the international financial statistics. So Pixelwiz was founded in Westland and still has held head office of the country. The head office is based for all the group administration function. The head office also acts as a base for development of PC games. So it was clearly mentioned that. The 3 overseas offices that were acquired individually as Pixelwiz expanded and moved into new areas of game development. Each overseas office has its own specialization of programming and different gaming platform. Northland's office research and development activities are focused on creation of new and improved game development software that are used elsewhere in Pixelwiz create game for sale. Northland office is also heavily engaged in the research of new approaches to game development, such as integration of VR headset into updated version Pixelwiz PC and the console games. So they are just guiding us how the business works out. All Pixelwiz games are intended for sale to the global market. So they are multinational and well established. So they are targeting the international market. Games can be installed with different language options on screen prompt and the soundtrack. So they are specifically stating that you can have the different language option and also the sound. The head office is the base for global marketing, which is responsible for the developing global strategies such as prioritizing different approaches for game development and scheduling the release date for new games. All are managed by the global marketing. Now students, one problem I see is pirated games. Now there can be a situation the games in developing countries can be pirated. They can create a crack version. I think you would have heard this, students, crack version. Now MS Office crack version is there. That means not the original version, it is similar to the original version. So that is one thing, is a risk that we need to consider. Now coming back here, students, they are saying each of the 4 officers is based for regional marketing function, which supports global marketing strategy for studying local trends for gamers in their respective countries and surrounding geographical region. The regional marketing managers can also recommend ways to adapt advertising, other forms of promotional activities, or better match of interest of local gamers. So they are understanding what the local market requires, and based on that they develop it. All 4 officers are located in countries that have strong video game markets. This assists in the development of new games because each office can host focus group, very good point, and panel discussion involving local gamers reflecting local taste preferences. So they can have local gaming competitions, students. They can arrange local gaming competitions, okay, where they will understand what the local market generally wants from the product. And Pixelwiz enjoys strong sales around the world and has successful titles. Unfortunately, even major producers such as Pixelwiz cannot predict the popularity of a new game or longevity of the existing titles, because the thing is disruptions. This is a highly risk business, students, because disruption is very high. One of the strategies pursued by Pixelwiz could be development and maintenance of franchises, which is the industry term for a range of games that effectively sequel original series. Example, WWE. Now WWE game is a basic example of a franchise. Now WWF, WWE. So you have observed SmackDown versus Raw. All these are a classic idea, students, of a sequel. Developers have discovered that it is often more effective to modify and enhance popular games with additional feature to create completely new game. Players enjoy returning to a favorite game that includes new setting, exciting new element. The board constantly reviews Pixelwiz's digital strategy to ensure digital opportunities identified and exploited in increase and competitive advantage. Now students, coming to the next one, that is for your understanding. Pixelwiz's most successful game to date has been Jackaplan. Now students, this is a very important element that you need to keep in mind, which was launched as a console-based action game in 2016. It rapidly became the best-selling game in that year. In 2017, Pixelwiz launched a PC version to sell alongside with the console game. New version of the game have been launched every year since 2018. The latest version of Jacob Lung, that is the Moonstar, is presently the biggest single source of revenue. Earlier, the version of that game continued to generate revenue. Collectively, the different version of Jacob Lung contribute 19% of Pixelwitz revenue. Most of the Pixelwitz revenue from games that are downloaded or accessed through internet on pay-to-play basis. These take the form of download, standalone pay-to-play and free-to-play to play. That means you have everything. The games and the console handheld are generally downloaded from the console manufacturer's website, which they host in the cloud. The console manufacturers collect the payment for the gameplay for in-game purchase and remit that to Pixelwitz after deducting commissions for providing this service. Pixelwitz has its own website, games downloaded to and accessed on PCs, laptops, smartphones and tablet. All payments are made directly to Pixelwitz on website through website itself hosted by Cloudbar. So students, just remember Cloudbar is the website hoster, so they are highly risk in case if something happened for them. The quoted company provides internet service, commercial customers. Pixelwitz continues to sell games on physical media such as cartridge, consoles and DVD-ROM species. These are manufactured and packaged to third-party specialists in Westland. Demand for physical media is weak in most developed countries, but there is a viable demand in box game for countries where the internet is slow. Okay, now students, coming to the extracts of Pixelwitz annual report. So if you observe this very carefully, students, vision, mission, values, Pixelwitz vision is always be the best game developer in real and virtual world. It looks fine. Our mission, if you see, Pixelwitz exists to attract talented people who create virtual worlds that enable gamers immerse themselves in exciting realities. Pixelwitz create places to work and to play. Now the problem with our mission statement, it is mostly into human resource, because students, if you see, a mission is what business you are in. So they can say here gamers pleasure, like Coca-Cola refreshing the world. They are not mentioning anything, but again students, this they generally give in the case study just to make the students think, so don't think too much of things. Okay, now coming to the next one, our core values. So if you see our core values, imagination, innovation, commitment, teamwork. So Pixelwitz creates places in which gamers wish to spend their free time, whether settling down for an evening games play or passing time to commute to work. So they need to have an imagination. Pixelwitz games set trends across industry because we strive to surprise and excite gamers with a new release. Commitment. Pixelwitz is the play where talented people wish to work, or our creative staffs are passionate about developing new ideas, leading ways of creating new forms of gameplay. Pixelwitz realizes on cooperation between all workers across level and talented and creative. Now the issue is shareholders' wealth. Now students, if you generally see, every organization needs to prioritize shareholders' wealth. But one problem here is the shareholders' wealth has not been properly concerned here. So I can generally say that we are mostly into the tech side rather than the other factors as well. So I will come to the other factors later. So students, if you see the Pixelwitz board of directors, now they have a listed company, so they have a non-executive and an executive team. So Josol Lukia, the non-executive chairman, is a successful lawyer specializing in sports management. He has been a managing partner of one of the leading law firms, subsequently the chair of Westland Soccer Association. So what has happened is there can be a soccer game developed. There can be a situation, a soccer game, that means like IPL, there can be Westland Premier League. So I'll write on here WPL. And what happens is there can be a legal issue. And that legal issue, what can happen is students, Mr. Jose can get involved in that. So he can just say the patent, the franchising issue. So there can be situation like that. And Lana Shamir, the chief executive officer, Lana joined Pixelwitz in 1997 as a game producer. He has the ideation. This is one of the skill that is required. She was responsible for the game development of Mark Jupiter. So students, I'll write down here Mac Jupiter. So he has developed Mac Jupiter, like Sundar Pichai developed Chrome. and was company's most successful RTS game at that time, real-time strategy. Lana became head of product development in 2008. Lana was promoted to COO in 2013, and 2016 he is the CEO, and currently we are in 2021 or 20, so almost he has served 5 years. Now my question is, Lana has been from 1997 to 2021, so there can be a situation of a retirement, students. There can be a situation of a retirement that we need to keep in mind, because in case if Lana retired, what will be the effect to the organization? So that is the major problem that we need to keep in mind. Okay, now coming to the next one, students, Afifi Ankiti, so the chief operating officer. So Afifi has a marketing master's degree in software engineering, that's the academic side. He has worked for several software companies in a software development role. Most recent appointment before Pixelwiz was the chief information officer of a major car company. So he has more idea about the data science, I think. Afifi's responsibilities include external liaison, that is primarily concerned with managing relationship between Pixelwiz and the third parties who manufactures and sells hardware that gamers use to play Pixelwiz game. Changes to the specification of consoles, PCs, smartphones that affect to run the game. Afifi joined Pixelwiz as the COO in 2018. Okay, and coming to Maria Tetango, that is the chief financial officer. So if you see, Maria trained as an accountant in a manufacturing company. She has since worked in variety of financial related in several major companies. Her recent role on joining Pixelwiz as finance director at Game before. So she was at a game console manufacturing company. So I think now she would have understood the industry sector properly. So she was in 2016 they have been appointed. And Zoe Shen, the chief commercial officer, is a background in marketing, has held very senior marketing positions in the course of his career, and Pixelwiz head of global marketing in 2015 and promoted to his present position in 2018, just for your understanding. And Christina Leona, the independent non-executive director. Christiana is a major television company she has been in her career, reaching company before stepping down from her full-time employment. She joined Pixelwiz as a NED in 2018. And Klaus Korschak, the independent non-executive director, has served on the board for several technology companies, including leading smartphone manufacturers. He has retired in full-time employment and asked to join as an NED. Okay, and the other one is Anna Bredstrom, independent NED. Anna has a successful career in banking and finance. She has been a finance director of a quoted electronic company before her retirement. She joined Pixelwiz as a NED in 2020. A new NED has come in 2020. Okay, now you see the director's functional roles. So if you see Afifi, game development and programming, external liaising, and the CEO is in the top, but he is a game producer. He has developed the game Mac Jupiter. So just remember, he is a person who has a very high level of expertise in the sector. Accounting and finance, treasury, building management. Okay, and if you see the COO, marketing, HR and public relationship. Now students, now if you see, we can little stretch this organization, because currently we are going with three functions only, but we can stretch this as well, but that can be a suggestion. And coming to the board, if you see, the chairman as usual is in all the three committees, all the four committees, which is not good according to the corporate governance, and they have given the roles of each and everyone. So if you see, Anna is on audit, she is good. Audit and remuneration looks good. Okay, but she can be audit and risk because she has been in the financial sector, so she would have understood very well. And students, one problem that we can observe in this is internal audit department, because the internal audit department is not there, students. I can clearly observe the internal audit department is not there. The internal audit department is not there. Internal audit department is not there, for your understanding perception. So students, now let's come to the principal risks what they have mentioned. So students, I will also do a risk mapping, but the thing is, whatever they have mentioned here, is just to give you an understanding of how they are currently structured. So here they are saying Pixelwiz is dependent upon continuing success of small number of game franchises. Jacob Plunk provide 19% of the total revenue, and our 6 best-selling franchises generate 82% of the revenue. So they have very small number of portfolio. So any disruptions can affect it, and we should try to make the diversity as much as different. A successful launch by one of our competitors could cost us from the revenue of these key franchises. Some new games come into the market which is becoming viral, that will affect it. So what they have done as a risk mitigation strategy is Pixelwiz invest heavily both time and money in maintaining close contact with the gamers in order to ensure that our games remain popular and exciting. That's fine. We aim to offer new version while demand existing the title of the games, not actually become bored with our working. We have many new games in the pipeline that we are still stand to replace with the existing title, including popular franchises that no longer excite. So one risk mitigation strategy is we do not have an innovation team, because students, we are just getting the feedback and replicating the product. So we want to be very much innovative in order to be strong in this segment. So the next one is the development of exciting new games may be inhibited by limitation of hardwares and with our softwares must run. So example, now some games may be not compatible. So what they do, Pixelwiz encourage third-party manufacturers, particularly those manufacturers dedicated in games hardware such as console, to develop their products so they can offer improved gameplay to their devices and latest software. So they are trying to make a mutual understanding in the ecosystem, students, but just make sure that that is not only the process. And coming to the next one, they are saying some third-party hardware manufacturers also develop and publish their own games in that respect, and also direct competitors. Our role as a leading game player developer ensure that these third parties remain responsive to our needs, in addition to those of their software designers and those competing development companies. And then the other one is game creation is complicated process that requires technical and creative skill. Pixelwiz is heavily dependent on retaining the staff, because staff turnover can have a big issue. Creative process requires specialist team workers who can develop game for each other in the main terms of hardware. So what are the risk mitigation strategy they have mentioned? Very simple. Pixelwiz pays close attention to staffing and implication of losing key staff. Staffs would be relatively easy to replace, such as game programmers are paid slightly more than the industry average. Those in the key roles such as game producers, designers, artists are paid more than the industry average and are provided with the range benefit that intend to retain their services. Junior creative staffs are given extensive training in order to create steady flow of potential replacement of their senior staff who decide to leave. And they are saying our business model is heavily dependent on the availability of internet connectivity for downloads, online game and remittance. So internet dependence is high. Players access many Pixel game through cloud-based facilities provided by third party. That was CloudBar. Can you remember, students? It was clearly mentioned that cloud gaming environments are compatible to the hardwares. We rely on facilities. CloudBar is one of our hosting party and we are dependent on them. So there can be situation we can develop our own thing. So Pixel works closely with third party and increase vulnerability. And the close console manufacturers and CloudBar are mostly major quoted and have clear incentive to maintain adequate security. So the reason here is, even though they are quoted entities, there can be situation of cyber risk that you need to keep in mind. So students, this is the financial statements. I will upload the ratio analysis later on, but just you can have an idea of this revenue operating cost only they are having. And then students, if you see, you specifically find software development cost. Okay, you just remember that, students. And then you also find something called deferred revenue. With subscription, they pay in advance payment only, deferred revenue. So just remember the business model is little different from what you are thinking. So advance payment here comes into the picture. Now students, this is the share price detail. So Pixelwiz data is 0.71. I have explained this in the ratio why it is 0.71. You will be able to observe it. And then they have given the Prantain, that is our competitor. The Prantain is our competitor, just understand. But the problem is no data is given about the competing factors. And if you see the news story, students are now, the age plays a major role. Now this news story is given by a 13-year-old. So the threat arises, students. The threat arises because Nokia, what happened, they did not observe the upcoming generation. They were only focusing on their market. So what happened, when the new generation wanted something that was not there in the world, Steve Jobs gave them. So what happened, Nokia collapsed. So here they are saying about the space travel games, and they are wanting to create their own games, and they are asking how they can create games. So students, I told you there is something called open and liquid models. Now open and liquid models are platform models where you can develop a platform where you can sell. Now eBay, if you see, eBay is an open and liquid model. Another one I can say is YouTube, anyone can do. TikTok is again an open and liquid model. So this is the idea that we get here, students. So children are having that desire to develop their own products. So just remember that is very important news story. And then here they have mentioned again Maria, age 12. So they are interested on how the graphics are designed. So there can be freelancers. I think you have heard something called gig economy. Gig economy means the freelancing economy. Now you may be aware Fiverr. There are websites like Fiverr where you can find so many freelancers and you can get your job done on online platform. So here you clearly observe, students, how you can get the work done. And she's asking about how graphics are done. They have mentioned algorithms. They have mentioned about the graphics designing, the mathematical models also, algorithm they have mentioned. So just remember these, students, new trends are emerging in the market. And the next thing is the video defects. Now if you see, the games may have defects. Even many of us, when we are playing games, we would have observed when we go to the higher level stages, the graphics quality may reduce, the quality of that. So they are saying that there is a thing called the black box testing and the white box testing. So you should be going through this, students, because I have done that in the SWOT class. So I will upload the video about that as well. And the other one is the Jacob Lung, the craze for this product. So this is a very strength of our organization. That means consumers love playing Jacob Lung games. So there is a huge crowd for this product and a huge demand for this product. And also they are specifically mentioning about the user acquisition in the game name. Example, they are specifically stating that if you see the K factor in here, the viral marketing, because if you see, a game is successful when the people are referring it by themselves. So that is one point of view. And then students, they are specifically stating gamers cut off the ship's anchor. Example, students, the Cloud Bar, what happened, there was a server crash where the gamers could not play on time, and they may get the impression that it's a problem developed by Prixelvis. So here we have already experienced it. So we should be very careful. There can be an interview where we will be evaluating our next understanding. And Crepple Quest. Now Crepple Quest is an MMO channel, so MMO game. So that shows that the number of people that is there, and it clearly shows that this will be the main idea. So students, you can just go through this. But before going everything, I need to just explain you some key areas that you should be familiar with. One area is ethics, students. Now coming to the ethics section, why I am saying it's very important is, students, if you see video games, being very practical, video games, what happens is addiction takes place. People become addiction. There can be gambling taking place. Gambling can take place, students. That's unethical thing. And also students, I can say children can use the games. Example, using VPN. So that can happen. So further things, students, now if you see, social welfare can get affected, because people will stop playing sports. They will be playing online games. They may become weak physically because they are not being able to take care of themselves. So this is one area. And then students, another area is the cyber risk, because highly challenging environment, and the digital transformation, which is again very much important area that we need to keep in mind, students. New things may come into the picture. And the other thing is government, political risk, because students, if you see government regulations, example students, India banned India banned what, students? PUBG. So when India banned PUBG, I think that affected that business. So there can be political threats, regulation, all these things. So just remember these things, very important. And I'm 100% sure there will be one ethics question which you need to be focusing on. So students, thank you very much for your precious time. Good luck with your examination. God bless you all, students. Thank you.